welcome or welcome back to my channel. I had a really good reading month, like ratings wise, but I didn't get to read as many books as I wanted to. I was literally 80% done with an audiobook, and then I realized that my Spotify hours were out, and that was going to be my 7th book, but obviously I didn't finish it, so we've only got 6, which is pretty good. 5 or 6 books is my average. Last month, obviously, I read a lot of books. I read like 9, and that was like so many books for me, but I was really just like sitting around and reading. That was the only thing I was doing. But this month, I've had like some other things to do and some plans, so wasn't able to get as many done, but still some really good reads. Like, as I'm looking at this stack, I'm like, this is a really good stack. But yeah, there's not much else to say, so let's just get into it. Okay, we started this month off with a new release, and that is Watch Me. I think I read the Shatter Me series like 2 years ago, so I was late to the trend, but it was still fresh in my mind for this. I think a lot of the time, like spin-offs and like sequels, and like when the series just keeps going, I think a lot of the time it's just like unnecessary and sometimes bad and repetitive, but I really liked this. It's like so reflective, so I'm gonna put it down, but I loved the concept. It ended on a cliffhanger, and like I'm really interested to see like what happens next. I'm interested for the next book. I loved these characters. They're very different from the characters from the first books, so I liked it. I felt like it was similar enough that it gave me the same vibes of Shatter Me, and I liked it, and I loved seeing the characters again from the first books. I did gobble that up. But I also felt like it was different enough, like the plot is different. It also kind of makes sense. Like, it feels like a natural plot progression. Like, it doesn't feel forced. So I personally really liked it. I didn't really look at other people's thoughts on it. I've been trying to not look at other people's reviews and opinions as much, like on books, because I just want to form my own opinions. I honestly still haven't even looked at reviews from some of these books, because I just, like, if I liked it, I want to just keep it that, I just want to keep it that way. I don't really rate books based off of, like, plot and, like, oh, this was cringe, this was cliche. As long as I am entertained and enjoying myself and engaged, like, that's what my rating is based off of. So, like, if I like a book and then I read a bunch of reviews that are like, there was the plot hole, blah, blah, like, I just feel like I read books for entertainment, and I'm not like a book critic. So I don't really want to know other people's thoughts. Some people might have hated this. They might have hated it. But I had a good time, and I loved the banter. It was awesome. Like I said, the plot felt very natural. It didn't feel like a forced new plot line. I gave it a 4 stars. It definitely wasn't like a 5, like an obsessed. I think I have never given the first book in a series a 5-star, I don't think. I probably have, but like, it's very rare. I usually like to give the series 2 to 3 books before I'm like, okay, I'm obsessed. You know, if I loved the first book, then I'll give it a 5-star. If it earned a 5-star, I'll give it 1. But my rating scale for like series is different from standalones. Like a standalone, it's like, if it was addicting to read and like I couldn't put it down and I was thinking about it, that's a 5-star. And then with a series, it's like, do I love the series as a whole? Am I attached to it? Do I think about it? Am I desperate for the next book? Like, I kind of like to judge a series in all. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's right. It's just kind of what I do. So I kind of want to see the next book after this one before I'm like, okay, this is a 5-star spin-off series. I don't know, I liked it. Next up, I read my first ever Frida McFadden book. I started with Never Lie. I got the physical copy, obviously, from my library, but then I found it on Libby, and I love listening to thrillers in audiobook form. I just feel like it's so much more immersive that way. So I ended up just listening to the entire book in audiobook form, even though I had the book. I gave this a 4.5 stars. It was really good. I read this in one day, and it kind of sparked a Frida McFadden obsession. which you will see as we go on, but I really like this. I'm really glad I started with this. This is such a good book. Sometimes when I do these wrap-ups, I forget that I'm like supposed to give like a plot synopsis. Like, people are watching this and they want to know if they should read the book. So I'm just talking about my thoughts. And I kind of forget. So sorry about that. This book is a spin-off of the Shatter Me series, which is like a dystopian that takes place in a world where people with superpowers are being harnessed and used and abused by the government. To be honest, I read Shatter Me so long ago, I don't remember. And it's basically just a book about overthrowing the government and uprising and freedom. And it's pretty good. I would recommend reading it. I read it when I was like first getting back into reading, so I really liked a lot of like YA books back then. I still love YA books, don't get me wrong. I think if you're older it might read a little bit young, obviously it's YA, but I do think it's good. It's good, and I feel like it's unique. I don't know if I just haven't read a lot of dystopians, but I feel like it's unique because it's a dystopian that doesn't feel like Hunger Games, which I feel like is what every single dystopian is based off of at this point. But this is a spin-off of the Shatter Me series that features, it's sort of like next gen, and it's like what happened to the reestablishment after, and kind of what happened to the characters after, and what that world looks like. And people are still fighting for like control of their lives. And then this book is basically this couple is house hunting and they get trapped in one of the houses that they're looking at because there's a snowstorm, so they go inside the house and then they can't really leave because they get snowed in. They just discover a lot of weird occurrences in this house, and they realize that the house was owned by a famous psychiatrist, who used to interview mentally insane patients, I would say that. And our main character, she finds a room full of cassette tapes that are audio transcripts of every single session with every client that she's ever had. The psychiatrist had gone missing, presumed murdered, a couple years ago. Our main character starts to want to maybe solve what happened. Maybe her clients had something to do with it. The plot twist in this was actually insane. I lost my mind and screamed. You will actually never see this coming. If you saw this plot twist coming, I just kind of think you're lying, because there's no way that you did. And then I started a very exciting series, another highly anticipated series. If you guys watched my other reading wrap-up or my vlogs, you will know that I recently read the Boys of Tommen series, which was one of my highly anticipated reads. I was kind of like, what is this series that everyone's talking about? And I recently finished that, and I'm waiting for my copy of Releasing 10 to come in. And so as I was waiting, I was like, I need another all-consuming series. So I pulled out Throne of Glass. I gave this book 4 stars. Like I said, I feel like the first book in a series, especially a fantasy series, is always like a setup, an establishing novel. So I was like, let me get into it a little bit before I start handing out 5 stars, but this was really good. This was a really good fantasy novel. Like, the stakes and the setup and the intrigue, like, it was really good. And like the world building was like very intriguing, but also very easy to understand because it wasn't all dumped on you. When you finish this book, there's still things about the world that you do not know, which I kind of like because that keeps me wanting to read the series because I want to know more. And the ending of this book is very satisfying. There's a really good final fight. Sometimes I don't like final fights because they seem kind of cringy and they seem a little bit like cliche and overdone, but I loved this one. And I enjoyed the romances, even though they were kind of like subplots, obviously. But whenever there was any sort of like sprinkle of it, I was like, if you don't know the plot of Throne of Glass, I will tell you. Now, I have only read this book, I've only read this one and the second one, which I'll talk about in a second. So maybe I'm not the best to give you like a plot summary of the whole series or whatever, because I don't even know. Basically, there is this world and magic has been outlawed. Outlawed as in if you're caught using magic, if you're caught even having magic, you get killed. And also, it has been zapped from the land. So it's like nobody does have it. And there's a king, and he's looking for a champion, which is basically like someone who goes out and does his bidding. Like he says like, oh, these people are conspiring against me, go kill them. So he hosts a competition where he brings in the entire world's best assassins to compete in essentially a battle to the death. Like it's a competition, like there are challenges that they have to get to, and in the end, the final fight is a battle to the death, and whoever comes out on top will be his champion. So we're basically following one of the assassins as she goes through this competition. And then there's kind of a love triangle, which I know people don't like, but I felt like this was which I know people don't really like, but this one was fine because it was just sort of like she liked two guys. Like it wasn't like no one was getting like led on or anything, I don't think. Yeah, I really liked it. And I was really excited about the next book, but I did end up reading 2 more books in between. So we will get to Crown of Midnight, but first we have a controversial one. Now, I did have the physical copy of this book, but I had to return it to the library because it was another new release and people were like clawing for it. So I was like, fine, I'll give it back. So all I have to show for it is this sticky note that says, Great BBL, and that is an acronym for Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Her latest release. This is a controversial one because a lot of people absolutely despised it. I kind of understand why they would hate it. It's so different from her other books, but I don't love her other books. Can I say that? Am I gonna be shot? They're obviously very good. Like, that's not what I'm trying to claim. I'm not trying to claim that she's overrated or like is bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just a plot girly. I love plot and drama driven books, and Emily Henry writes character driven, mundane books, and so like they're just not the most entertaining to me, which, like I've already mentioned, I read books for entertainment. But as I've gotten older, I have actually started to enjoy them more because I actually do enjoy character study books as my tastes, you know, because my tastes are just changing as I keep reading and as I get older. And I really loved Beach Read. Like, Beach Read was one of my favorite books I've ever read, ever. So I think she's starting to grow on me, to be honest. And a lot of people did not like Great Big Beautiful Life, I think because it was so different. There was actually a plot, and romance was kind of like a subplot almost, or it was sort of like there were 2 plots and they were kind of equal, like romance and then the other one, and I quite enjoyed it. Although I will say I did read reviews on this book because I was like, what does everyone else think? I kind of wanted to know for this one, and people were bringing up some valid points as to why it wasn't good. So do I think this is the best book ever written? No, but I had a really good time reading it. I was super intrigued and invested in the story, and I loved the romance. I love like a subtle romance. Like one of the biggest, there was literally like a hug in this book that went on for like 2 pages, just describing what it feels like to hug, and I did love that. I love that. As a girl who like will just cling to the tiniest little thing, I like that. So I get why other people wouldn't like it. It's not very romance heavy, it's not spice heavy at all, and there's a whole subplot that has nothing to do with the romance, so I get it, but I loved it. I did give it 3 stars, which is like my average rating. That's sort of like good book, had moments that I loved, had moments that I didn't love, just sort of like meh. It was a great BBL. Then I read my next Frida book, The Housemaid. I'm pretty sure that everyone and their mother quite literally has read this book. Whoa. So I was very late to this. I sat outside with this book and I read it in like one day. Well, I read the first 20 pages one night and the next day I binged the rest of it, so I kind of count that as one day. I mean, it's not. I really liked this book. I was like addicted to it. I was shook. Frida is one of the only thriller authors that has ever got me like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I was like, which I haven't read a lot of thrillers. I'm trying to get back into it. And when we started getting to the end, where everything was getting revealed, I was absolutely gobbling it up. Like, I was sitting outside tanning, and I was just reading. And then I was like, I need to go inside and take a shower, because it was getting to be like 6-7 p.m. So I went inside, I took like the speediest shower, and then I leapt back into my bed, and I read the rest of it. Like, I was addicted, and I was in the shower, and I was like, so what do I think happened? And I was trying to like connect the dots in the shower. So I really liked this. It was super easy to read, super fast, but also really got you thinking. Like, it wasn't hard to understand. That's what I mean when I say easy to read. It was very easy to understand and so bingeable and like so much fun to like speculate about what was going on. I did also just realize that I didn't explain the plot of BBL. The plot of A Great Beautiful Life. Great Big Beautiful Life. Okay, basically there was this nepo baby, essentially, like famous family where everyone knew them, cameras outside their house, that kind of vibe. One of the daughters from this family just one day disappeared off the face of the earth. Not like went missing, but like no one could ever find her, and then she just disappeared from the tabloids, you know, to go live a quiet life. And then these two journalists both get tips to go write her book for her, to tell her story of what really happened, not just what was in the tabloids. And then these two journalists start to fall in love, but they're not allowed to talk to each other about their books, and also their competitors, because only one of them is going to get the book after this like 30-day trial that they get. They both get like a 30-day trial to talk to and interview Margaret. At the end of the 30 days, they're going to pitch their books to Margaret, and she's going to pick the one that she likes the most and go forward with that. So it's like a competition sort of thing, and it's sort of rivals, but they have feelings for each other. And then we're also uncovering, and then as that's going on, we're also uncovering Margaret's story and everything that happened to her. And then the plot of this is basically a rich family hires a housemaid, and she starts to notice weird little occurrences going on, and in her attic that she's staying in, because they have her sleeping on a cot in the attic. Okay, because she's like a live-in maid. She notices that it locks from the outside, and she gets a little suspicious of that, and she starts to notice things, and mystery unfolds. So yeah, I like this. I gave this a 5-star because I binged it, I was thinking about it, I was thrilled. So I say 5 stars. Okay guys, in a shocking turn of events, I actually did read 7 books this month. I forgot to put one in the stack, but I'm looking at my Goodreads, and it's right there. Anyway, I don't even have a sticky note for this one, but I read The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I have never read a book by Christina Lauren before. This was my first one. I think it's like a newer book. I saw a lot of people talking about it like last year. So it's been on my TBR, and I've been wanting to read it, but I was kind of waiting for the summertime. How did I feel about this book? I liked it. Honestly, sitting here, I literally don't remember how it ends. It was kind of forgettable, but I feel like a lot of rom-coms are forgettable because I read so many and they're just all the same. I would say it was pretty average. I did laugh a lot. It was very funny, but people were talking about this like it was the funniest book that they've ever read, and I don't think that it was. It also was a lot dirtier than I thought. There was a lot more spice than I thought there was gonna be. I gave it 3 stars. My average. Parts I liked, parts I didn't like. Average. Recommendation. Rating. The plot of The Paradise Problem is basically this guy, West, aka Liam, but I'm just gonna call him West because that's what our main character did. Anyway, West has been lying to his family that he has a wife, because the only way that he gets his inheritance money is if he's legally married. So he legally married this girl, Anna. He legally married Anna so that they could both get couples housing at college. And then they technically got divorced, but he didn't actually sign the papers because he wanted to keep getting his inheritance, which is kind of slimy. Anyway, and then he comes to her, and one of his siblings is getting married, and he needs to bring his wife, who his family still thinks he's married to, he needs to bring his wife to the wedding. So it's basically just like fake marriage. Really pretty resort summer location. So the vibes are incredible, but it just didn't stand out to me, and it was like really smutty towards the end, and I was scared. Okay, and now our last book of the month, Crown of Midnight, which is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. I guessed the plot twist at the end, but I kind of feel like everyone did. I love it. I'm like, yes, I figured it out, and then it's like everyone figured it out. I really liked this. I liked this more than I liked Throne of Glass, and I'm really excited to start the third book, which is Heir of Fire. I loved the end of this book. Like, I was white knuckling it, like, absolutely, like this. Freaking addicted. And I'm starting to really love these characters and love this world. Like, I'm starting to get attached. So I'm really excited to continue the series. I gave this a 4-star as well. The ending was 5 stars. I loved it. I love like where this is gonna go. I'm so excited. But the beginning of the book was like a little bit slow. I still loved it because I love the characters, but I was like, okay, what's happening? And then once it like picked up, I was addicted. But I did give it a 4, maybe a 4.5. I can't tell on my Goodreads. It might be a 4.5 on my Fable. I'm not sure. Basically, the plot of this is, I can't tell you because that would spoil the first books. But yeah, that's all the books that I read in May. Thank you so much for watching this wrap up. Please comment down below what books you read in May. If you've read any of these books, let's discuss books. Please like the video if you did like it, and subscribe for more content like this. But yeah, with all that being said, thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a really great day. And here's to June being another great reading month.